Hey guys, welcome back to the Push Podcast. I'm Janelle Copeland.
And I'm Edward Copeland in the house and a place to be with all my friends come to see.
Yes.
The
Okay.
flows are real. Don't catch me on these streets in a cipher.
Okay. I would not ever lie to you and say that you were good at something when you're not. So it's not going to start now.
Oh, just like you don't believe I could be the heavyweight champion of the world.
You cannot actually.
Okay.
Not at all.
That creed is still in me. It's a couple weeks back, but I still feel like
it's driving me crazy. You and every man are all over social media thinking that you're going to be the next heavyweight champion of the world. You need to stop.
Yeah. You know, everybody.
You've never boxed a day in your life, and in your mid-40s, it can't happen.
By the
creed?
No, I live by the immortal words of Mike Tyson.
Which are?
Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Okay. Do you need me to punch you in the face? I know. What is your plan?
No, I'm fully aware that you feel like you can be a boxer until you get hit in the face that first time. And you go
100%.
Oh, that just rocked my brain out of its socket.
So there's this thing I do.
I don't think brains
where
in sockets.
No, I don't think a brain is in a socket. But there's this thing that I do, like when we watched the Super Bowl. All I could think about was, "Ooh, if I got hit like that, it would take me a minute to recover."
Yeah.
And it's not even the hits. It's like, if I got tackled and we slid on that grass for like 5 or 10 feet, I would have such bad like scrapes on my skin from that grass. You just have to take me out of the game.
Be fine. You still get used to it.
So we're watching Creed, and all I could think of is like, there is no way in hell that I could just get punched repeatedly in the face and just get up and like pump myself up and come out of the corner and be like, I could do this for 12 rounds.
Layla Ali did it.
I know. She is amazing.
Yeah.
She's my superhero.
There you go.
I love it. Okay. I have a little what in the world.
Okay.
Yesterday, we went on a little food tour. I'm going to talk about the food tour in a second because that's part of you getting to know the 2023 Copelands. But we went on a little food tour, and quite a few of the establishments you walk in and you help yourself to an iPad where you put yourself on a wait list.
Oh, I think I know where you're going. Okay, go ahead.
And then you put yourself like in a queue where you are placing your order. So I ordered some ice cream. And it had the nerve as I was checking out and had done everything. I greeted myself in this establishment. I put myself on a wait list in this establishment. I typed in my own order on this establishment. And they asked me for a tip out checkout. I almost flipped the iPad.
If you're watching this, you see me. I'm shaking my head if you're not. Like,
it's out of control.
Outrageous. I am tip fatigued.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it's called tipping culture.
Is that the culture that we're supposed to tip?
Yeah, I don't want to tip for something you've literally not done anything for.
Does the tip go to?
Right. It should go to me.
Is it like a kind of a socialistic thing where everybody who works there gets a portion of that tip?
Right.
So when does like your job that you get paid hourly begin, and then the tip, begin? Like, when does that end, and when does the other one begin?
I don't know, because in a lot of like customer service jobs, you used to say, I'm sorry, we don't accept tips. Why? Because we're just supposed to give good service, right? Like, we worked for Best Buy or Circuit City. Oh, we don't take tips, and we're not supposed to take tips. Why? Because I'm supposed to provide you with good, customer service and answer your damn questions.
Well, you took me to this place, they made me juice, and like they would juice in an acai bowl, and it asked me for a tip, and the guy just looked at me like, and I thought, oh my God, this guy is manipulating me, because he knows that I probably want to be a giving person, and now you got this thing flashing in my head, in my face, and they're crafty. They're smart, which we would tell our business owners to do. You would say, it says 10%, 15%. No. Now they do 15%, 20%, and 22% as the options.
Yeah.
The no tip option is kind of like hidden.
Right.
Right. And so that is wrong.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember where we were at recently, but it was a place where you did your own kind of thing again. minimal service, I'll say that. And the tipping option started at 25%.
That's
like that
outrageous.
was the go-to, and then you can slide it around. But I was so fucking offended that it started at 25%, and I was just angry.
Yeah.
And I slid it over and I found like maybe 18% because they didn't do anything. It wasn't even a customer service type of thing. So I got to say, we, the Copelands in 2023, are tip fatigued. And I am a very generous tipper.
Yeah.
Like, I always give over 20%. Always.
Right. And then, you know, what's interesting is like after yesterday, we went to different places because you've had your cheat day and we're going to all the many places for your cheat day. And I started thinking to myself, I think we spent just as much in tips that we did in one location. Like it was like, and I was just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I get if you have a server, right? And it's your way of thanking them, of being attentive, checking in on you, making sure your glass is filled. Like there are a lot of things that when you go to a restaurant, it's not, you don't pay directly, right? Maybe they build it into their prices, but whatever, like the free water, the free bread, right? You know, all those different things are part of the restaurant experience, but the person, you know,
that's keeping your cup full.
You give them a tip for thanking them for doing a good job of making sure those things.
And we are generous tippers.
Yeah. But this whole like, you order something from a fast food place and the fast food place is asking you for a tip before you even get your food. Like at restaurants, after you get your food, after you eat,
you've been served.
How now you can
service?
say, here's how you can show us how our service was by our tip. But now it's like part of the buying process.
Yeah.
It is.
And now
corruption.
there's so many like post-pandemic businesses that are doing the whole like, oh, we don't actually, you know, interact with you. You come in, you place your own order, and it's still asking you for a tip.
Yeah.
So you haven't filled my glass. You haven't brought my food. You've done nothing for me so far. I feel so pressured. Like, I'm going to give you a 25% tip, but I'm anticipating that you're going to give me good service over the next hour and a half. And that's just simply not fair.
Yeah. So I think we need to like say no longer, unless it's a delivery or a restaurant, are we providing tip?
But even a delivery, if I order like Postmates or something, I think I have to select my tip option first.
Yeah, which I'm okay with.
I'm not really.
Well, yeah, I mean,
because
it used to be after, right? And now it's like part of the buying process.
Right. And I think that that's the problem. Is like we got inflation, everything has gone up, and so now they're just like nickeling and diming us. Yeah. Like, oh, we're just going to add the tip in too. And so the reason I have an issue with like Uber Eats or something like that asking you to tip first is because I haven't received my shit.
Yeah.
And so just this past week, you ordered tacos and the taco order got canceled like 4 times.
Right.
Did you not? You did give a tip.
Well, the tip was, because you can't proceed without the tip unless I'm doing it wrong.
Right. No, you're doing it right. That was an error on their point.
No, I'm saying if there's a way to get past that where you tip after you get your food.
Right.
But then you feel like, oh, well, if I don't give a good tip, then this person who's delivering is going to see that. And they're like,
Yeah. So I feel pressured on those delivery things to give a good tip because I'm like, maybe they'll say yes to my order, pick my food up with care, and then ring the doorbell when it gets here, right? And so I used to get upset because when Jordan does Uber Eats or Postmates, she is just like monitoring it, and then she goes to the door. They don't ring the doorbell.
Right.
So last night I used her phone to order something, and I saw that she had selected it as a preference to not ring my doorbell when you deliver my food. She just wants you to leave it on the porch and walk away. And that I was like, this is the difference between Gen X and Gen Z. Because she just wants you to place her food on her porch. I want you to alert me that it's here because I'm doing the dishes. I'm doing other stuff in the house. She's like, no, Mom, I went out to the porch because I know they never ring the damn doorbell. And I thought it was their problem. Turns out it's my daughter's. So I go to the porch looking for my food. She said, no, Mom, your food will be here in 2 minutes. She was tracking it like on the app. And I was like, that's the problem. Is like you've been messing everything up. Yeah. So that's my tangent. My what in the world.
She's like, I don't
want
to see them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so today we are doing an episode. It's called 2023 so far. If you listen to our episodes in the beginning of the year, we talked about the fact that I was going to be approaching the year in a 12-week kind of chunk way. So that way I wasn't overwhelming myself with like, oh, well, we got time, 365 days, it's only beginning of March, whatever. I wanted to be held accountable and see some kind of scarcity for like, I got to take action because 12 weeks is going to run out.
Yeah.
And so my plan kind of got derailed a bit when I got COVID in January. So the first like 4 weeks I was down.
Mm-hmm.
And then that bit a chunk out of my 12 weeks, which left me 8 weeks. And one of my New Year's resolutions was to like get in shape and start working out more. So I kind of wasted the first maybe 6 weeks of the year because I was sick, because we had things going on. And then I was like, I got to get my shit together because I got 6 weeks left in this 12-week sprint.
You also had surgery.
Oh, yeah, I had surgery.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So I wasn't just being a loser.
No, I got you back.
Thank you, honey.
Yeah.
I love you. But I thought, people on social media, they do like every few months or so, well, here's a reintroduction.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it would be good to kind of talk about like we did a lot of things to set up what you should be doing in the new year. So I wanted to kind of check in on that. But also for some people that maybe don't even know too much about us.
Yeah.
Because the intro says that we have 3 kids. Technically, we have 1 living at home right now. So we're not raising small children.
Yeah, we got to redo that.
And we've been doing a lot of episodes lately on like things we're learning from our youngest because she's the only one home right now. And she's applying for college and going on all these auditions. So we've been sharing a lot of that, but I just thought it'd be good to kind of do a quick, brief introduction and then see like, what are you working on this year?
Yeah.
You go.
Oh, I'll go first. So with less kids in the house,
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that I wanted to do was get back to playing golf. So to have a hobby, I think it's a great place to free your mind, but
Mm-hmm.
also like it's something, constructive that you can do. And I think, it's interesting because I played for a long time, then the pandemic hit, and then I didn't play for a long time. And then so now I bought this course online.
You didn't play prior to the pandemic, just so we're clear.
I did play golf.
Nah, you did not.
Yeah, I did.
It had been several years.
I didn't play through the entire pandemic.
Right, I know, but even prior to that, you weren't
No, I was
regularly
I was playing with Lamont. I have footage playing with my cousin. Okay. Well, yeah.
Okay.
Semantics.
Yeah. Go.
Tomato, right? But it's been a long time. So I wanted to get back into it. I got invited to a trip. I mentioned this on the podcast before, and I wanted to work on my game. So one of the things I've been learning is how to swing a golf club and everything. But it's interesting. I pulled another learning from the courses I bought online. So I got this course that got sold to me. Thank you so much, Instagram.
It got sold to you, or you bought a course? Those semantics right there.
Yeah. So I bought the course, but they did a really good job selling me. I mean, this video. Never mind. That's a whole nother conversation. But what was interesting is that in the course, this instructor is Hank Haney. So he's the old instructor for Tiger Woods. And so he's going through and he's telling you like what things you need to look at and change in your swing. And he said, one thing I don't want to hear from you, not that he would hear from me, but what I don't want to hear from you is that you feel uncomfortable. And he said that the first thing people tell him when they tell him that when he shows them how they should swing the golf clubs, they say, oh, this feels really uncomfortable. He goes, anytime you change something new, it's going to be uncomfortable. Otherwise, you would already have done it.
Right.
And it was one of those things where it's a simple thing, and you kind of know that already, but we often walk away from change or learning something new because the initial response to it is the discomfort.
Right.
And you're like, oh, this doesn't work for me. And so he would say that people would say, oh, this doesn't work for me. This feels really uncomfortable. I feel like, and he goes, yeah, you do it until it's not uncomfortable anymore, until it's comfortable.
You do it until it does work for you.
Exactly.
That's why I'm training you.
Yeah. He says he goes, I will show them how to do it. They will do it. And then when I leave them alone, they will go back to what they're comfortable with. They just go, oh, this is much more comfortable for me. And they want that same routine to change everything, right? And that same routine is the reason why the ball's not going where they want to go.
I'm thinking about so many ways that applies.
Yeah.
Like all of the students that we have that are trying to break through and have record-breaking sales for their business. Like how many times have people say, that doesn't really work in my neighborhood.
Right.
Bullshit, it doesn't work in your neighborhood. It's a proven sales tactic.
Right.
Like this works, right? So, or even with like a diet, like I had a girlfriend the other day say, oh yeah, counting calories doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
Okay. It was science. I mean, just say
but it's
you
another
don't want to
word.
work. You don't want to work that into your schedule.
Right. It's another way for people to say, this is uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
I would prefer to have massive change in the comforts of my
constraints.
Right. Things that I'm more familiar with.
What a great lesson.
So it was like, I was like watching it and I was like, huh.
Yeah. Your brain exploded.
Right. And so like I immediately was practicing the thing. I go, this is uncomfortable, but keeping in mind, like in order for me to have the change, how do I keep pushing through this discomfort so that it becomes more of a thing that feels more orthodox than unorthodox?
So could you say to yourself, this feels uncomfortable. That's exciting.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, because
100%.
It is like this is uncomfortable. That means there must be something new that's going to come from this.
Right. And it made me just it just was a quick reframe.
Yeah.
Instead of looking like, oh, this is uncomfortable. This must not be the right way to do it. No, the right way to do it is the uncomfortable way to do it.
Yeah.
And the reason why you're where you're at is because of the comfort.
You're doing the comfortable thing.
Right.
It's wrong.
It's wrong. Right. Yeah. And so that was a big learning.
Good job, honey. You're so smart.
So from a golf instruction. Right.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if we want to go back and forth, but
the other thing you're doing that we're both doing is reading.
Yeah.
And so I will just say,
we read before, but now
there's a whole ass library of books in here, but we're trying to read some things for fun.
Yeah.
Because we've been in the habit for years and years of like, if it's not personal development, it's not business development, then we're probably not going to.
Psychology, if it's not like,
just something that can make you better in some way, then we're just, now that's okay. I'll find another book to get better.
Right.
And so Jordan is an avid reader. She's an amazing reader. And she challenged me last year and was like, Mom, do you ever read books for fun? And I said, all my books are fun. It was the same exact answer that you gave. And she goes, nah, there's nothing fun about a business book. I said, yeah, there is. This fun business book is going to pay for your college,
Right.
But she had a point. And so I started at the end, I think, of last year with the Mariah Carey memoir.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was good. So I realized that memoirs for people that have great stories, learning about their childhood, like that stuff, I'm like, wow, they did all this.
You do like people's stories.
I do like people's stories, but that's me and my personality. I want to hear everyone's story, right? Like, why are they like that? Whether you're a bitch, whether you're nice, I want to know your story, right? And so the other day, I don't know, I saw Jewel from like the 90s, who was a music artist. The Who Will Save Your Soul is a great song. She played the acoustic guitar, and I saw her on a podcast clip, and I didn't know she wrote a book. So I was like, I'm going to download this. This will be fun. I don't know much about her. I remember she was from the 90s. She's about my age. And it said in the reviews that I read that there was a mixture of like her memoir. She had a rough life, but it was also a really great weave of personal development
and lessons.
Got it. And so I downloaded it. It's like 21 hours. I'm like, Jesus, she's got a lot to talk about. And I will say that I thought it was a really great book.
No, that's
and
awesome. So
she grew up in Alaska. She was homeless for most of her life, from like 15 all the way till she got a recording deal. And she was living out of a rental car when she was like on tour. Nobody knew that, but she wasn't paying rent, didn't want to like have the expenses, didn't know how to really manage money. And so I thought it was a really great story. Her mom did her super dirty with like all of her money. She wound up being broke several years into it. So anyways, I had, listened to this entire book for the whole week. And I was like sharing stuff with you. It was really good. I shared the music with Jordan. I'm standing in line at the donut shop at 6:30 in the morning on Sunday. And this guy gets behind me in line. And I hear him, "Who will say save your soul. I turn around, I go, are you singing Jewel? And he's with his 12-year-old kid. And he goes, yeah, I love that song. And I said, oh, ironically, I just finished reading her book. And he goes, oh, I saw her on a podcast. She had a crazy life. He said, what's funny is I used to live in San Diego. And Jewel used to do coffee bar gigs at, different random coffee bars and bars and stuff. And I just kind of stumbled across one of her shows one day, and she was like, oh, you got to come in and sit down. And I wound up staying there for 2 hours watching her perform. She was incredible. And I said, the funny thing is in the book, she says that she views herself more as a storyteller. And so when people used to walk by, she would invite them in and make them stay and be committed, because she would do improv storytelling throughout her different music sets. And so I found a guy that was who she was talking about. In the book, it was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm doing more of that nonfiction reading. You are too. Do you have a book you're doing apocalyptic
books. I love apocalypse type of
you do.
Stuff, especially when it's zombies involved.
Mm-hmm.
It's just my imagination goes wild, right? I would love for us to have a zombie apocalypse for a week and then it's over, just to see how people respond.
I don't want that, because Jordan wants to just kill herself.
But I'm reading the Living Dead. And so that one is gripping. So I've read fiction books before, mm-hmm. but I've never read a horror fiction book. And so I'm reading it and I'm all into this book, because it's every word is just pulling me in, and mm-hmm. my imagination is creating a picture, right? I'm creating the using the language and the words to create an actual picture. And so Jordan comes stomping down the hall, and I freaking jumped what the fuck? I was why are you
actually said that?
Because it was at a point where I was what's gonna happen? And she came running down, and I was it literally caught me off guard, and I was
and she goes, what's wrong with you?
I was what's wrong with you?
I'm in the part of a book where it was really scary. And she goes, Dad, it's a book.
I was enthralled. So that's was
funny.
So that's been fun. I'm also so I have my home reading, and then when I'm at work and on breaks, I read another book. So I'm reading Rick Rubin's book. I think it's called The Creative Act of Being, or something like that. Oh, yes. The Creative Act. And then it's called A Way of Being. Mm-hmm. And so he just basically talks about his creative process, and it's really interesting. But he said something that really helped me with the understanding and appreciation with collaboration, right? And so it makes me want to lean deeper into collaborating. So he says, the inspired artist aspect of yourself may be in conflict with the craftsperson's aspect. So what he means by that is you're an aspiring artist, you can create in your mind, but you may be in conflict with the craftsman in you to actually build what you're actually envisioning.
Yeah.
And he said that you may be unable to do that. And I thought, wow, sometimes you get all these ideas and they die because you're not thinking about who can help me with this. Mm-hmm. You're thinking about, I have to be the one to build whatever I'm dreaming of. And you may not have that skill set to build it. You may just have the skill set to help co-create it. And then learning more about him, he doesn't really play an instrument. He is the person that collaborates. So he hears sounds, and he can direct producers and engineers to make the sounds. And I'm sure he knows how to do those things. Yeah. But he's famous and successful simply because he has an ear and he collaborates. Mm-hmm. And so I thought it was a magical thing, just to think about the fact that, how often do you have good ideas and you just go, man, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you go out and you find someone who say, hey, I have the vision, you have the hands, let's put the brains and the hands together and let's create something special.
I think collaboration is something that we're missing in today's world, though, because everything you see is me, I did this, I built this, it's a lot of maybe it's for social media, I don't know, but that quote, say the quote again.
So he says, the inspired artist aspect of yourself may be in conflict with the craftsperson aspect. And so he goes on to say, disappointed that the craftsperson is unable to create the physical embodiment of the inspired artist's vision.
So it reminds me of I'm a great baker or a cake decorator, but now I turn it into a business and I'm really struggling.
Yeah.
Why? I don't like QuickBooks. I don't like numbers. I don't like
Right.
math. I don't want to be talking about profitability and expenses and all of that stuff. And we see so many artists struggle with that.
Yeah.
And I can't help but to think of all the times we're trying to explain that quote, which is just because you're good at this doesn't make you qualified to be good at this, right?
Right.
And so taking a class for QuickBooks or learning how to manage profitability, numbers, like learning how to either find an appreciation for those things so you have an understanding is what's necessary, or hire someone, outsource it. No one said you have to do it all by yourself,
Right.
but at the end of the day, that shit's got to get done.
Yeah.
And so that was a really great quote that I think applies to so many different things in life, because you could have all the ideas in the world, but like I want to be a New York Times bestselling author. I'm not an author. I'm not a writer. So what do I have to do? I got to learn about how other people publish
Right.
books. And I'm learning that they have ghostwriters. They have other people that help them. They hire editors. There's a whole process. And most of the people whose books you're reading, they didn't even really write the book fully. They just
Right.
had the concept, right?
Yeah. And I think that's a powerful thing because what you said, I hope people captured that. There may be moments where collaboration is absolutely needed, and that's
Mhm.
probably going to give you more speed,
Yeah.
right? Or if you say, hey, I don't have a person that I know can help me build this, I need to pause on the artistry and now I need to go learn the craftsmanship in order to actually build the thing I'm trying to build. So
Right.
I'm taking writing courses, doing all these different things. And I think that those are things to really separate so that you don't kill dreams before they even have an opportunity,
Mhm.
simply because those two things are out of alignment,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that's just a powerful, powerful thing. I thought
I
that was
think so,
great. So
too.
that was a good learning that I
Yeah.
had.
And the last book that I'm reading, and I'll tell you about my learning, the book I'm in right now, and I don't know why I'm reading only white women right now, but Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda captured my eyes or my attention because she did a talk with Oprah one time, and she was talking about how life is divided into 3 trimesters. So you have like 0 to 30. That's when you think you're hot shit and you know everything, your first trimester, and you really don't. And then you have 30 to 60. She said that's the trimester, your second trimester, where you're really doing the bulk of earning and growth, and all of your hard lessons are learned in your second trimester. And then your third trimester is when you're supposed to go out with a bang.
Yeah.
Like you have hopefully from 60 to 90 to live through all of the experience that life has taught you in trimesters 1 and 2. And then now you get to like go out on top and like really live full out. So she has this revelation, and right before her 60th birthday, the beginning of her third trimester, she realized that she didn't want to be married to Ted Turner anymore. And in order for her to go out on top and live a life unapologetic and full out and do the things she wanted to do, like she wanted to be vibrant and lively, he didn't want to do that.
Right.
And so she ended her marriage. She said, he's still one of my very best friends, but we wanted to like go out with a bang in a different way. And I just really respected that, and that stuck with me.
Yeah.
So when I saw her book kind of come across, it said the third act, and I was like, I'm in. Like, I want to know more about that. And I've used that analogy many times to talk to people who are in their 60s who are living a life like they're dying. Like you're living like, oh yeah, got through this day. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
Like the life of waiting.
Right. It's like a waiting game. Are you waiting to die?
Right.
I don't understand. And so we've talked many times about we don't want to live a life like that when we're in our 60s. We want to maintain health and good energy and be in good spirits and, keep feeding and nourishing our minds so that way when we get to the third trimester, we actually can live it.
I love that. I think that screams possibilities when you think about your life in those chapters, because I think every year should be providing you new life, new perspective, because it's not promised. And so I think when you break those things down and you stop, waiting to die. Yeah. And we can get into that. That's a whole nother episode, but I think that's great.
Yep. Okay. So then the other thing I committed to was good, healthy habits this year because I wanted to get my body in shape because I'm turning 45 this year at the end of May. And yes, thank you. Still in the second trimester.
I don't have a birthday this year, so.
Yes, you do. But, and so getting off to my 12-week like slow start because I was sick and stuff. I've cleaned my diet up in my 3rd week and I feel great about it. And so there's a book, we're going to link all the books that we've talked about in the podcast so far, but there's a book by Tim Ferriss called The 4-Hour Body.
Yeah.
And really it's like science and all the reasons why, you should be eating X, Y, and Z. And after reading the book, I was like, we do this every day. Like we eat clean. We don't eat an excessive amount of carbs. We don't eat sugar. But at the end of the day, we do, like Jordan and I really like sweets. We like crackers. There's things. So my issue is that as I get older, in order for me to lose weight, I have to kind of cut and do some major things. But if half of the people I know that are battling their weight ate the way that we ate on a weekly basis, like they would lose weight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we eat relatively clean. But yeah, if I go to a Mexican restaurant, I'm going to eat chips and salsa, right? But I'm going to also order a salad. And so I don't know. What I'm trying to say is I had to make some kind of major changes in order to see a difference with my body, right? Yeah. So I started working with a trainer again. I'm going to Orange Theory, but I had to really clean up the diet because ladies, if you don't know, you cannot out-train a bad diet.
No.
And if you think that you're doing something healthy for yourself by eating salads every meal, I'm going to tell you there's probably more calories on that salad and non-nutritional things that are stifling your weight loss than you think. Starting with the dressing, starting with the little add-ons, whether they're croutons, tortilla strips, whatever. Anything creamy is probably adding pounds to you. So anyways, based on the information from the Tim Ferriss book, he's like, you need a reset. Well, I know from bodybuilding that when I eat really clean, if I have one reset meal, it literally resets and changes my whole body. Mm-hmm. Why? I have digestive issues. I have I have constipation issues. I've got my own issues. So I know what works for me, right? So Tim Ferriss tells me, don't just do a cheat meal, do a cheat day. I was like, yes, I'm in. And I'm going to try it. So the thing about a diet, ladies listening, you have to try things to see what works for your body. Right. I know my body likes to be reset and it works like magic for me, right? So first week, I clean up everything. I mean, to the point where I'm going to get really regimented up. This is what I'm having: breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack for every single day, Monday through Saturday. And then Sunday, when my husband's off, my daughter's off, we're going to have a cheat meal. A cheat day, actually. And so what I did was I got a journal to kind of, track and monitor and make sure I held myself accountable. And preparation is key if you're trying to you can't just, I will say this, for me, I can't live in chaos if I'm trying to eat healthy. Yeah. I have to know, what is my next meal? What time will it be? Where's it coming from? Is it packed? Did I make it? I need to just know. Or if anything goes, then anything goes and I'm off track, right?
Partly because you like food that tastes good.
Right.
Yeah.
But if I make the food, I can make food that tastes good.
Right. And so the planning comes into that because you won't just, you're not into just eating crap.
Right. So for example, we didn't have a meal plan the other night. We went to El Pollo Loco. I asked for a side salad with nothing on it. They put all that creamy freaking dressing on it. That ruined everything. So I didn't eat that. So knowing where my meals are going to come from, what they're going to be, has been key for me. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because my Sunday cheat day, throughout the week, everything that I want that I don't have, I write it down excitedly. So I don't say, oh man, I can't have that. I go, ooh, I can't wait to have that on Sunday. Right. So you and Jordan ordered freaking tacos. I'm watching you eat these crunchy tacos. And Eddie's over here, you guys. It's just a taco, honey. It has protein in it. There's no cheese on it. I'm like, I can't eat the taco right now. I don't want to eat the taco. Can you please support me? You pissed me off with that one.
Well, we both did.
Yeah. I was like, what's wrong with you? Oh, Mom, you got to try this churro. I'm like, I'm not going to eat the churro.
Because that
was so wrong of you guys.
It was very wrong because we realized when you kind of snapped at us that, oh shoot, she's
serious about
she's serious about what she's doing, because normally we could say, hey, try this, and you say, I can't have this, but let me try it.
Oh yeah.
But now it's like,
but you 100% trying to sabotage me. It was like heckling me for not trying the damn taco and the churro. So Sunday was yesterday. What do? Order the taco, the churro, and I'm just going to be really real with you. I wanted donuts. So I woke up. I couldn't, for some reason, I couldn't
Deceptively
sleep.
woke up.
I woke up at 5 to go to the restroom, 5 a.m. I couldn't go back to sleep. So I sat in bed, tossing and turning until about 6. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the donut shop early because they keep selling out of the donuts that I want on Sundays.
So
anyway.
she snuck out of the house.
Sneak out.
Quietly tiptoed out of the house to have a
Pulled
donut
my car out
rendezvous.
Of the garage. I drive 20 minutes to this donut place, stock up on all the donuts that I want. I stopped and got you coffee.
I had no clue.
And then I got back in bed, went back to sleep. And when you woke up, I didn't pretend. When you woke up, you said, babe, do you want me to go get donuts for you?
I was going to get up and I was like, oh, she's still sleeping. You know, I'll get up and I'll quickly shower and I'll go and get donuts for her because she must be tired. No, this lady had already left, did all this moving about, going to different cities, coming back. And then slid under bed like all sneaky. You
act like it was sneak attack.
And me and Jordan were like appalled. Like, who sneaks out of their own home?
You're ridiculous right now. He like gently wakes me up and says, babe, do you want me to go get you donuts? And I said, no, I already got them. They're in the kitchen. And he goes, when did you leave? I go, I couldn't sleep this morning. He goes, you actually left the house and I didn't know? I was like, what is this, jail? I don't understand. He goes, well, should I go get you coffee? I go, already got that too. And so he was like highly offended that I snuck out of the house to go get him and us donuts and coffee. And then you roped Jordan into that. Did you know your mom snuck out this morning? I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. I live in jail. This is a prison. So anyways, we started off with donuts. And then we got breakfast, real breakfast from, a different restaurant, some pancakes and rice bowls with chicken. So,
so we go this whole day. Everywhere she wants to go, eating all this crap,
taco,
right?
Taco, churro. Mostly it's like a bite of everything.
Yeah, so at the end of the night, I go, Jordan, you want, tacos? Sushi. I said, oh yeah. So we got tacos, and I was like, all right, well, our next meal is sushi. Mind you, this is like the 5th meal of the day. And she looks at me, she goes, no, you're going to have sushi? She goes, I hate Sunday. I hate it. I was like, she had ate so much. She said, I hate it. I don't want no more.
Mind you, she doesn't have to participate in this, but we went to like 2 bakeries, an ice cream shop. We got this stuff. We took a couple bites. We tossed it. Like literally, it was such a wasteful day, but I needed that so bad because I don't want to deprive myself.
That's hilarious.
So that's my strategy. And I will tell you, it works because come Monday, I am happy to be like, get rid of everything. And I'm happy to clean it up again.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So there you go. I love my Sundays.
There you go. So like, those are some of the little things that I think we picked up and learned. And you mentioned something about, go ahead.
I was going to say that kind of ties to that. One of the things that got my mindset wrapped around like being excited about cleaning up my diet and not saying, oh, I'm on a diet, I can't have that. No, it doesn't have to be like that. You have to change the way you're looking at it. But one of the things is I was listening to something by Jim Rohn, and we love him. And he was doing this whole talk about the drift of neglect.
Yeah.
And just that one thing, that one phrase, the drift of neglect, think of how many things in your life it bleeds into. I mean, you don't want to floss your teeth. You don't take care of them. Guess what? The drift of neglect, your shits are going to look nasty in the next 3 to 5 years.
And I love that because I take those words and I say the drift, and it makes me think
it's a
slow move to neglect, right? It's like you stop doing something one day, then you're inconsistent, and then before you know it, like you're done. And so I think people go on these weight loss journeys, they go on to different journeys, and then they don't realize that they get really good at this habit, and then they slowly drift away from it. And then before they know, they wiped away everything that they've accomplished when it comes to it. And it's interesting because you could drift away from anything, like your purpose.
Well,
right?
for me, when I think of drift, I think of you're going in a direction, you're on, let's say, a canoe, and let's say you're going downstream and you have full control and, you've got this paddle, but then you go, I'm going to put the paddles in and I'm just going to kick back and enjoy the day. It's a beautiful day. Look at the weather. It's so great. And before you know it, you've drifted down this path. And now you're lost, don't know where the hell you are. The water gets choppy. You lost your paddles because you weren't paying attention. And so just the slow drift of not paying attention to something can cause massive destruction.
Yeah.
And so I thought about the fact that after we were bodybuilding, we hated dieting and restriction and all of that stuff. And we needed to take a break from it. But we have slowly drifted away from like any sort of structure for the last 5-6 years.
Right.
And for me, asking the ladies that are listening, if you didn't diet for 5 or 6 years and you ate whatever you wanted for 5 or 6 years and you continued to do that for another 5, what do you think the scale is going to tell you?
Yeah.
What do you think your body's going to look like? How do you think you're going to feel? What do you think your health is going to be? It's not going to be optimal, that's for sure. So it's this slow drift that kind of compounds over time. And then what happens is one day you hear a podcast like this or something sparks you and you're going to go on vacation. The summer's coming up, your birthday's coming, someone's getting married, and now you want to snap back. But that slow drift of not paying attention to something for the last 5 or 6 years is not going to be something you could snap back in 2 weeks of a diet from, because you had that slow drift for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And to me, it was just like really eye-opening. I was like,
huge.
I mean, this is small, but I mentioned it a couple podcast episodes ago. Like, I'm not doing anything right now to exercise my memory. And so when I watch Jordan prepare for her auditions, I find it remarkable that she could memorize 2 hours worth of dialogue and get on a stage.
Right. Multiple
and then,
different shows.
Yeah. And then she has another show next week that she's doing the same thing for. And then she's got all these monologues for college auditions. And I have told her so many times, I go, I'm just in awe of you right now. Like your memory is so amazing. And I want you to never like lose that. But the drift of neglect when it comes to my memory, I could feel it. And so I can't expect that I would memorize 2 hours right now because I haven't been really in practice of that probably since freaking high school.
I think it's so powerful because how many people right now, if you're listening to this, you've neglected your memory, you've neglected friends, you've neglected your body,
health,
you've neglected your mental health,
your finances.
You've neglected all these things, and now you're looking at them and you are not taking responsibility that this is neglect that created this, and not the outside world. And
I would just add, it's the drift of the neglect. It's
right,
I just abandoned it.
But at some point, it is now neglected.
Yeah.
Right. So the drift of neglect is the behavior to move to neglect, and then it's neglected. And it reminded me of, we were talking about it earlier. I was like, Zig Ziglar says planes are built for flying, boats are built for sailing, and people are built for creating. And if you leave a plane on an airfield and you never fly it, it deteriorates far faster than if it flew every single day. The same thing for a large vessel on water. If it sits in the marina, it's going to deteriorate and decay much faster than it being used every day. So when you're not in your purpose, you're neglecting, and it deteriorates much faster. Your spirit, your being neglect, and that act of neglect leaves you in a space where you feel unfulfilled, and all of a sudden you're wondering why you feel so empty. You wonder why you feel like you're lost.
I'm wondering why my 5-year-old nephew's beating me in a game of memory.
So it's just like, it's a powerful thing. Like when you think about like what things feel are in that now, are you drifting from place of neglect?
I have definitely let my memory drift. And so like another example about my 5-year-old nephew, he calls the other day and he's telling me the first 16 presidents.
I know.
Boy, if you don't get out of here with that, you're just showing off now. I don't remember the names of the first 16 presidents.
You don't?
No.
Oh, that's crazy. I'm just joking.
But I was so proud of him. He's 5.
Yeah,
like,
that's
how
awesome.
does he know that, right? And he knew him so well. So that's one of the things that I'm focusing on right now is like paying attention to like what is the drift of neglect that I need to pay attention to in my life. And it, for a while, was like really being purposeful with structure around my body, my health. And so, yeah, that's what I'm on right now.
Yeah, I mean, you could be neglecting your creativity. Like
like
there's so many things that you can be, you go on the atrophy of not being able to come up with new ideas, not be able to have great relationships, all come from
I mean, I will say, like, since the pandemic, I'm not going to my bakery anymore. I don't have coworkers. I've mentioned many times to you, like, I'll go 10, 12, 15 hours sometimes without talking to anyone. And now I find myself like, do I know how to have a conversation? That's the drift of neglect, I have to exercise those things. And then just another couple of things. Jordan, the other day, she's in all these different productions, and that means you're working with other people. And if she wants to come home and kind of say like, this person's not doing what they should be or whatever, we love those conversations because we tell her, well, you're not always going to have great coworkers. You're not always going to have great teachers. You're not always going to have great directors or people that you work with. So this is just how life is. So like, how can you find some humor around it? Right. And so she was talking about someone the other day, like not knowing their lines, like right before the show day. And I was like, well, that's going to be on them. And she goes, no, it's a group project. It's a theater production, right? And so she said, we are seniors in high school. And shouldn't you be good at something that you've been studying for 4 years? Right. And this is what my 17-year-old daughter said. She said, for example, if you wanted to do a TED Talk, you would have to come up with a structure for what you were going to give a speech on, right? She goes, now, if you sat there and wrote a speech that was really great, that'd be great. But if you just stand on the TED stage and you just read the speech, you think that's going to be very impactful? No. Right. She said, so if you took it to the next level and you practiced and you not only wrote the great speech, but then you memorized the great speech, don't you think the next step would be like, now I feel fluid. I feel like, oh, I could use some facial, gestures. I could use my hands. I could be more animated to get my points across. I could maybe smile here. Wouldn't your TED Talk be better? Yeah. I said 100%. She goes, and then if you really believe, so she had all these steps to get to a great TED Talk. She said, that's the difference in a good TED Talk or just doing a TED Talk.
Good to
so
great.
Does somebody want to be an actor and just say their lines, or do you really want to be a student of acting and theater? And that means you got to put in your repetitions and you got to focus on being great. And I was like
for her,
men.
And basically what she's saying is, if you want to be anything spectacular at a high level, you have to embody the thing that you're doing,
right?
Which is the opposite of neglect, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so this person who she's referring to neglected to embody, or not even get to that place, like neglected to even hold up their end of the bargain, right? Of being a part of a show.
But I think that just goes to show the beauty of consistency, rehearsal, practice. What are you getting good at? We've done so many episodes asking people, what are you in practice of right now? What are you trying to get good at?
Right.
And so that was just a great lesson from our 17-year-old. And I'm going to be really sad when we have no more kids in the house, because I feel like we, in their older years, learned so much from them.
Yeah.
And then another example of something we learned from her, and then I'll leave it alone. But we were talking about someone who back in the day used to kind of be like a bully. And I was like, oh, is she still like that? Still the villain? And she goes, no, she's actually in her redemption arc. And I was like, that is beautiful. She's in her redemption arc, meaning if you haven't heard, the hero's journey, there's different arcs of a story. And so she was giving this girl credit for being in her redemption arc, which I thought was really sweet. And Eddie goes, wait, what? Does she know she's in this arc of her story? And it just was a beautiful conversation.
No, she doesn't know, but she's on that path. It's
but we noticed.
Yeah, and that's
all that matters.
That's all that matters. it's just somebody should say, "Hey, I just want to let you know your redemption arc was really wonderful." And people are like, you should be like, "What?"
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
like you just,
Thank God you're not a little bitch anymore.
right? Yeah. You went from the villain that turned into the person you root for.
Yeah. So I just wonder, what arc of your story are you in right now as a listener? Like, are you in your redemption arc? Are you in your
neglect arc?
Oh yeah. Are you in your revenge arc? Like maybe you just came out of a bad marriage or a toxic relationship. It's okay. Be in the revenge arc, right? Yeah. But what arc are you in? I thought that was a really cool question to kind of ask yourself.
Yeah, that's really great.
So that's all we got for today. I hope that we gave you some things to think about. Again, this podcast was really developed because there were stories and things that we were going through and learning about that we felt were important to share with other people. So if we ran into you after not seeing you for a while and we're good friends, these are the conversations that we would bring up to hopefully inspire some good conversation, perspectives, and just bounce some ideas off of each other. So if you have something that you want to share with us, please head over to iTunes, leave it in a review, let us know what stood out for you, and then give us something to digest too, because we're always looking to grow. And so I hope this was enjoyable for you. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
All right, push through.